What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is Sunday evening. There's been no football today. I've done some investigative work and stuff because I was finding out that surprisingly, and I know most of you don't care about stuff like this, but I'm on the historic commission in the city and trying to preserve some history. And I've kind of found out by hook or by crook that there's a lot of Sears kit houses that are actually here that were built. And if you don't know what I mean, between about 1908 and 1942, you could buy a house in the Sears catalog, and it would come by railroad, all the pieces, every single piece you needed to build your house. And some of the cheapest ones were only $450, and some of the more expensive ones were like $6,000. But literally, imagine having about 30,000 pieces. It would come with like 700 pounds of nails. It would come with the paint. It would come with the varnish. It would come with the trim, the windows, everything, all dropped off at your job site. And then you had to figure out what was what and where was it and who was who. If you've ever had to put together some IKEA shit, that this would be IKEA on steroids. Be that as it may, that's not why you're here. I'm sitting here actually making some dinner, trying to make our money go further, and I've got some vegetable thigh that I'm waiting, and I'm waiting for my wife to get back so we can go ahead and do it. I know you're saying vegetable thigh. Well, I got some steak to go with it because I eat meat. Be that as it may, some things that were interesting because the Dallas Mavericks made a crazy move and they went ahead and they traded Luka. Everybody's going crazy. Everybody is just talking smack. The Joneses are literally feeling good about themselves because they're like, yeah, we're dumb. You know, we traded Amari Cooper for a 5th-round draft pick and stuff, but we didn't make that trade. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves right about now. And you're hearing all kinds of stuff. So some of the memes and the things that you're hearing are trade Micah Parsons, because you see there's a rumor out there that Micah Parsons wants to be traded to the AFC. And so, of course, Raven fans are like, yeah, give him first-round pick. No problem. Take that first-round pick. Well, first of all, not all first-round picks are the same. And for Baltimore going deep in the playoffs, their first-round pick is almost a second. So before you get your hopes all up, you ain't replacing Micah Parsons with a first-round pick. And that's not going to happen. Cowboys aren't going to trade Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a moneymaker. And we know how Jerry Jones likes drama. You've got all of the above with Micah Parsons. You know, the fact that he's got his podcast, and his podcast, I'm wondering when the Joneses are going to ask him for a piece of it, because it was Nationwide was his main sponsor, you used to see on there. And now he's also sponsored by HBO Max. So, you know, there's the big dollars that are there. And that ain't going to go nowhere anytime soon. And that might be one of the reasons why he said, let's just hurry and get this deal done. And, you know, I don't have to be the highest paid, because he's getting some good money, I'm sure, from those sponsors. And I guess it will continue to get even more. I don't think he's going to get those elsewhere. And I think he recognizes that being part of America's team brand is going to make sure that you have other sources of revenue. Who knows how much Dak has made off the field? I'm sure it's $150+ million in endorsements easily. Be that as it may, as we start to get in here and we start to think about the team that's going to be the 25 team, we've got free agency, which starts on the 10th of March. Okay, yeah, a month and 10 days, and this is a short month. We've got our own free agents, and then we've got the draft. And the thing that's going to be good about the draft is, you know, it would be nice if we had been a top 10 pick, but at 12, you're going to be able to get a great player. Now, when I start thinking about what the Cowboys like to do in the draft, God, that smells good. That cinnamon. Oh, the cinnamon and a star anise is so good. When you start to think about what the Cowboys like to do at the draft, is they like to get the top prospect in the first round of whatever position it is. If it's center, you want the best center. If it's guard, they want the best guard, and so on. And for the most part, that served the team well. I don't know what it was with Taco Charlton. That was a Rob Martinelli pick. They looked at him and he had the length that they liked because he liked taller guys and stuff. And there weren't a lot of great edge rushers, and nobody knew that TJ Watt was going to be as good as he is. So you have that situation right there. But drafting at 12, here's the thing. Like last year, what do we have, 4 or 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first 15 in the draft? More than likely, you're going to get 3 quarterbacks taken out. So if we're drafting at 12, already that means there's only 9 other picks. And I don't think we're taking a quarterback in the first round. I don't think that. And Sedor seems to be telling everybody that he knows that the Giants are going to draft him. He seems like he knows that's where he's going to be. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the case or not. But that's the tune that he seems to be singing right now. Let's say there's 3 quarterbacks taken before we do. So that leaves 9 other positions. You got to figure there's going to be left tackles. 2 or 3 of those guys are going to be gone. So that takes another 2 down. Edge rushers, wide receivers. You're going to have quite a few players that are going to be taken out. A couple of wide receivers, I'm sure. Or if it's not wide receivers, maybe you end up having a number 1 wide receiver prospect at 12, depending on how it shakes out. I'm not the draft expert, so don't quote me. But you probably have a really good chance of getting Ashton Jeanty. And hearing the Cowboys, they seem to be laser focused on the idea of jump-starting the running game. I don't think that's with Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott. And as good as Rico was getting 1,000 yards this year, I don't think they're looking and saying that that is the solution. And so that's why you probably have to look at this and say, if Jeanty is there at 12, the way the Cowboys are talking, you would think that that would be who they'd be going to get. Now, here's my big question. Because as we go with the draft, we've done well further down the draft. I mean, we traded back and got Micah Parsons and got Goldston with them. When we were drafting the first round in 2012 or 2013, we ended up moving back, trading with San Francisco, and we drafted Travis Frederick, and with the extra pick, we got Terrence Williams. And I'm wondering if this draft would shape up, because a lot of people are leery of taking a running back in the first round, although Bijan kind of changed that narrative, because after Saquon's first years and things were kind of injury plagued, and they looked at it and said, you don't want to sign a running back to a second-year contract, which is true because, generally speaking, they go downhill. But there's exceptions to the rule. Right now, Saquon, it seems to be one of those exceptions. Adrian Peterson was an exception. Frank Gore was an exception. But for every one of those guys, there's probably 20 that don't. And so the case of saying getting Jeanty in the first round gives you an extra year, basically, to screw him. I don't know how else to put it. But if you draft a running back in the first round, you do have the 5th-year option. And with that 5th-year option, you could go through and say, we're going to use that 5th-year option, be it higher than the other years. But that keeps you from having to commit longer term. It sucks for the player, because I remember like Alfred Morris, who was a 6th-round draft pick for Washington. And he ended up having over 1,000-yard season for them, and literally was making chump change. He signed a deal with the Cowboys to basically back up Zeke Elliott, and that was getting, I think the most he made in one season was signing as a backup for our team. And you think that his best years, unfortunately, were actually with Washington. And unfortunately, that's the way it is with running backs. Typically, they ain't seeing the big money anymore. And that might be one of the reasons why you see the Cowboys look at this and say, let's try and get him in the first round so we can get that extra year we're not paying him. And if they can back up and get him and get another pick out of it, man, that's golden. So we'll find out we got a couple months before April. I won't be in Green Bay, not spending $1,000 a night at the Fleabag Motel. That shit's crazy. But we'll see where it goes. Alrighty, good people. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.